everybody. All right, so I have a new mic today, so hopefully this will improve the sound quality a little bit, make these a little bit louder, because they've been a little quiet, I have noticed. So we're getting right back to it, right back into it. GBPAUD, USDJPY. We've had a very interesting week, and I'd like to go over what's been going on. So last week, as I mentioned in GBPAUD, and I just deleted this for whatever reason, but we'll put it back. We have a significant range, such as this, playing out. What ends up happening is you have orders stacking up on both sides of a range like this. This is why it's called an accumulation. The market is accumulating volume, and it's also creating beliefs in retail traders about what's going to happen next. So we have pending long orders happening on the top side. We have stop loss orders from short sellers happening on the top side. Likewise, we have pending short orders on the bottom side, and we have stop loss orders from long orders piling up on the bottom side. So there's money to be taken on either side of the market, and market makers will use this to accumulate, stack positions. So here we saw a push short. And this push short essentially took all these orders on the short side. So, right, they took all these short orders. They were buying into all of these short orders. This then pushed price higher because now the market makers have stacked up short orders. And if you have a bunch of short orders, you'd want to sell them off at a higher price to make profit, right? So that's what we saw up here. I was questioning if we were going to see, I don't know why my little highlighters moved. There we go. I was questioning if we were going to see a third swing high. And that would have brought us up to this significant level, probably back here. This third swing high would have proved to, that would have been a significant enough move bullish. But I was wondering if that was going to be the third push high and then we were going to see a drop off from there. That would have told me that they were satisfied with where they were selling off the price. Scenario 2 was what ended up playing out, which was we started seeing a lower high form down here and a pretty significant imbalance from that higher high right there. So that's a lot of trapped volume. That means there were a lot of people that were incentivized to buy here. They were thinking price was going to go higher, so they were buying in. Price snuck back up here to take a little bit more liquidity, but ultimately didn't free these orders. It didn't let these people get out, didn't let them break even. And then we saw a significant dump. We saw a drop off. So this makes me think that we might just be bearish on this pair now. If we end up holding these positions and falling off, we might see these lower lows happen again. Like I said, I'd like to see this continue to happen. I'd like to see us not break these levels. The balance of it, the trapped orders continuing to get pushed lower and lower in order for that to continue. So that's been interesting enough. This area right here is the same sort of thing as that bigger zone I was highlighting earlier. We have a zone of consolidation happening, right? In this zone of consolidation, orders stack up above, orders stack up below. This took the orders above. Now I would expect the orders below to be taken. So we're going to see. We are going to see what's going to happen. Next, we have USDJPY. This has been so interesting. I started drawing this out earlier as I was testing this microphone, and I really think this is going to be better for y'all. So I'm pretty stoked about it. But aside, this is the same thing. We have a box of consolidation, and it was a more significant move. I mean, this was a significant enough dump lower that it would have made you think, wow, maybe price is actually bearish. I was thinking price might actually be bearish. I was curious if we were going to come back to hit this point right here, and we did. We stalled there slightly, but ultimately price, there was a lot in the tank, apparently. A lot of short orders were taken down here. And like I was saying about this, so remember, orders stack up on both sides of a range. We saw some pushes high on this, but we didn't necessarily see some sweep, some breaking of the box, right? We didn't see the breakout that took orders on this high side, which made me think, even though price was dumping down here, there was still a lot of liquidity to be taken from this higher range. So now we've seen exactly that. We saw liquidity taken low very significantly. We went back to this zone that was respected all the way back from December, right? So as we broke above this area, moved up to this high point of control, that this is essentially where the all-time high for the pair is. So we're pushing like right up against that right now. We're just below it. But price came up, respected that almost to a T. And what happened was this was a sell-off. This was profit taking. This huge move right here. And look where it ended up coming back to. Almost perfectly where these candlesticks closed. Like right back in our point of control back here. Right? Okay, so what I am looking at next, I still would like to see this pair be net bullish. I'd like to see us do some higher high action. I'd like to see this 151.92 get taken out, and then I'd like to see this 0.618 get taken out. Again, the market's going to do whatever it wants, but this was a significant liquidity taking event. And same thing we had down here. We had these lows just being respected over and over, right? So what I'm drawing here, this is not a trend line. What I'm trying to highlight here is essentially that we're not getting to the same point, which I guess is what a technical trend line is, but I'm not looking at this like I'm expecting to see something else come back down here and bounce off of this. I think that'd be sort of extreme. If we did see something like that, let me see. Where's my paintbrush. I'd like to see something like this. And like I said, I think that'd be a really extreme move to bring it all the way back down here. But we could see something like that. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm purely speculating here because I'm not 100% sure where price is going. But based on the fact that we did sweep all the way down here for liquidity, and we did respect this level, again, we didn't get as low as this level, I would expect to see some higher highs going on here. So this lower high that we have on the top, it's not super, like, it's not that significant. It's not like it closed way below that. So if we were to see some sort of imbalance, I think, I'm just going to draw this, I think it'll make it simpler. If we did see price coming back down here, if we held this low, ultimately, I think that would create a really great opportunity for this to continue higher. But we're going to see. I'm going to the weekly chart here. Let me hide the drawings for a sec. Like, we have some really significant bullish action going on, right? We have this low, and we essentially have this entire zone in between it that has really been held strongly. Like, volume has really been held strongly in there, and I'd be surprised. I think we're gonna see some sort of pullback. I don't know how far exactly, but I think in the long run, or at least for as this year continues, I would like to see this 618 be taken, and from there we'll see what happens. Again, as I've said multiple times, as I say throughout my videos, our job is not necessarily to predict the price. So what I like to do in trading is I come up with several likely scenarios based off of the logic of the price action and where liquidity is. And then in the moment, you can make decisions based on what might be happening, what sort of things you could execute on. So we use these higher time frames to assess where the liquidity is and where liquidity interest might be, like where price could go to, where it could stop at, so and so. Then we can use these smaller time frames, and you can ignore these fibs. I'll take these off actually for a moment. And price action like this can be really simple. Down here, so this was the same zone that was, here, I'll just tile these to make it simple for you. This zone right here, right, on the other chart, this is our point of control. So on the 6 hour, we see this point of control being respected, and on the lower time frame here, we see a small imbalance playing out. So that would have been a signal for entry long on something like that, and that was a very significant move long. We see the same thing here where we see price testing a low and we're still respecting that area. Subtle things like that. Now we're seeing a similar thing happen here. However, we're seeing these smaller points being broken down. Price continues this. We're going to see this hold out, and we're going to see price come back down here to take liquidity, but then ultimately move higher. So like I said, it's all about possibilities. It's all about probabilities. It's all about figuring out how you can enter a move logically and get a nice risk to reward out of it, right? If you were to have entered on this, if you were to have seen this and then seen this right here, put a nice position right there, kept your risk to reward small, like kept it just right below that zone, because if price is locking in orders right there, it doesn't need to go any lower. And then you just took it right up to the previous high right here. Simple trade. But I mean, something like that, you have a 1 to 3 risk to reward, and you're risking less than 30 pips, and you're looking to make just over 80 pips. Simple ideas like that. You'd be more confident, and that move would be more likely based on what's happening on this higher time frame here. So like I said, we don't need to predict the price to be profitable in it. All we need to do is find probabilities and find areas where the price has been respecting, where liquidity has been getting taken, where there could be interest for liquidity to go. Because remember, market makers have an interest in taking liquidity from wherever they're taking it, and if they're taking it low, they want to sell it off at the highest possible price, right? They're taking it high, they want to buy it back at the lowest possible price. So we just have to think like that. We got to be on our toes, and we got to be ready to react to whatever the market is showing us. All right, guys. So with that, I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear your thoughts, opinions on what you think the market might be doing right now with either of these pairs or whatever pair you might trade. With that, hope you learned something, and happy trading. We'll see you next time. Take care.